Hoosier fans, welcome back. Another episode of Under the Hood with IU Football, presented by your Central Indiana Ford dealers, is off and running. Your Central Indiana Ford dealers, a proud sponsor of IU Football. Reminder to get out there and visit your local Central Indiana Ford dealer today. I am Rhett Lewis, and folks, today we are joined by the most disruptive defensive lineman in the conference, in the country, Stephen Daly, leading the nation in tackles for loss with 18, 14 of those not even coming until conference play, 4.5 of them coming in a bucket game win over the Purdue Boilermakers. Stephen, welcome onto the Hood, man. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you having us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you got it, man. Dude, when I rattle all that off, right, those numbers, like when you hear that, what goes through your mind?
Um, Kind of just crazy to think about, but I know also to me, I kind of think of it as like a team kind of stat, just because I know that the guys behind me and the guys on the front seven, like I wouldn't be able to get the tackle for losses that I get. They make my job a lot easier because they'll be taking on double teams for me, or they'll bounce the running back to me, and it kind of just allows me to clean up and get TFL. So I know without them, I wouldn't be able to get any of those stats.
Love that. So true. So true. But you, my friend, deserve all the accolades because they are coming with your play. It's been so much fun to watch, especially in the bucket game. Was your first taste of it?
Yeah.
Getting to hoist the bucket, win it on the road. What was your expectation of it going in, and then like to feel that rivalry win afterwards? How would you describe it?
Kind of since I'm still pretty new here, had to learn the rivalry really quick and kind of what it means to the people around here. But then kind of being there and seeing the fans I used support from them. They were able to travel well. It almost kind of felt like a home game a little bit at times,
Yeah.
especially when we made a big play. Some of my tackle for losses, the crowd's going crazy. That's not common for an away game, but it was great, and just be able to host that. Bucket and also, smoke some cigars in the locker room. It's pretty cool with
No
the
doubt.
guys.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Coach Sig was talking about it that in the post game press conference. Man, really, really cool to kind of have that celebratory moment. Not only that, like you win the rivalry game, but you cap off an undefeated regular season. Not many people in college football can say that. In fact, it's really only Indiana and the team that you're going to face in the Big Ten championship game. We'll get to that here in a little bit in Ohio State. But with those, like when you're going like you were against Purdue, and you're feeling those, those numbers, those kind of like game changing plays, right? Those impact havoc plays where you're making those TFLs and you're making those big stops. Like, do you feel that in the moment that like things are going really well and like you feel like you're unblockable? What is that feeling like as the game progresses?
You definitely do start getting a little like feeling yourself a little bit, especially kind of like that first quarter. I think two of them came in the first quarter, and I had a pressure.
Yep.
I was chasing him down, and he turned into a pick, so you kind of hurt to feel yourself. But also, for me personally, I try to stay still composed because football's a long game. You never know what's going to go on throughout the course of a game. So I just try to stay composed with it. Just like all right, even though I had a good play, keep on stacking it. Don't get too big of a head still because
Yeah.
there's gonna be plays where I might not make the play. I just got to do the dirty work of just taking on a double team and letting linebacker come free. So I just really try to stay composed with it. I'm also, I celebrate a little bit, but not always, just because I'm trying to, make sure like, all right, okay, we got to move on the next play. We're not off the field yet. Kind of celebrate more on third down, just because I know, all right, we get a third down sack or something, we're off the field the next play.
That's a great point. Coach Sig talks about that a bunch, right? Hey, look, celebrate the play and then wipe it, right? Because
Yeah.
every play is a life of its own. You got to get back to the next one. Love that part of it. Get back to the present day here in a moment. Um, but I know you've talked a lot about your track background, right? In high school a little bit. Not often that you see a guy competing in the discus and the 100-yard dash, which you did. Running a sub 11, at your size and frame was pretty incredible. Um, but like when you think about it now, like do you feel like that track background, getting in the blocks, like in that 100-yard dash, man, I see it in your get off, like getting off the line. Like, do you feel that a little bit? Like some of that background?
Most definitely. I think my first time ever doing track was maybe in like eighth grade, and then I know like my freshman year, kind of high school, I was kind of in and out about deciding to do it because I kind of just wanted to do like that all season, kind of just focus on football. But then they convinced me to do it. And it was, I don't ever regret it because it really helped with my get off and my top end speed and be able to do what I do on the field. So, but kind of, especially on third down, I kind of think back to my track background. Like, all right, this is like I gotta think about the quarterback clapping or the O-line moving. Like that's the gun sound for a 100-meter dash, and that's
Good.
when I really got to get off and kind of just running my race really when when I do my pass rush moves. So yeah, track definitely helps a lot with my get off.
How heavy were you then, do you think, when you were running?
I think my senior year I was probably about 240. So
So you're about 270 now, right?
yeah, so I don't know if I'm still running a sub
You
11,
think,
but
no, come on. I don't know. I think Purdue's quarterback on that second play from scrimmage when you were chasing him down might have felt like you were when he ended up throwing that interception. Okay, I mean, I see that and that correlates. I think it's a lesson to all, uh, high school student athletes out there that, like, man, sports translate right from one to the other and you see the benefits, and you are certainly living proof of it. One of the things I love about this defense that Coach Haynes, has put together for you guys is the way it attacks. You talked about that earlier this season. So you're not sitting back and letting the offense dictate the terms. You're out there attacking. Can you think of a way or an example of something that kind of puts that to light and shows the way that you guys attack on defense, or maybe something from a game that you remember?
um, kind of just he always puts us. I feel like in positions to succeed. I feel like we always have an answer for any kind of play that a team has. Like even if like a team only ran a play like twice, like we got something for it just in case they try running against us. So it allows everybody really to be able to play fast and attack and be confident in what they're doing and knowing their job. And also just kind of sometimes we like kind of force the offense to do something. Like we know if we're showing something to the field, they'll check it to the boundary. Well, we did that on purpose because we got something in the boundary to kind of help with that. So just
Right.
things like that kind of throughout the whole season allows us to play fast and attack offenses.
Yeah, and keep them guessing, which is what you want. And then, was there a moment for you, because I remember watching your Kent State tape when you ended up signing and committing to IU out of the portal, and I was like, man, this guy gets after it, right? And then, it felt like there was a point in time, maybe it was the Michigan State game, but maybe even a little bit earlier. Was there a moment where it clicked for you, where it felt like things slowed down and you were able to kind of use your natural ability and all the work that you put in to kind of let your skills shine a little bit more?
I would say maybe kind of when we got more to conference play, I would say more kind of Iowa, and then when we had that bye week right after Iowa going into Oregon, things started clicking because I was like, okay, now I'm really getting into the defense. I've gotten a lot more reps. I've gotten reps, against Iowa, who's a really good Big Ten team. Illinois, they'll get some reps and make a couple plays there. So kind of, and then the extra bye right before Oregon, I was like, hey, now I can really just master, really believing in myself and trusting what I know what I'm doing, so I can just play faster and faster and really help out the defense any way I can when I'm on the field. So I think that was kind of the turning point
Yeah,
for me.
I would agree with you for sure. I mean, again, 14 tackles for loss in conference play, just insane right now with the run that you've been on. And then you had to step into a bigger role, right? Which is probably a little bit of a piece of that as well. And it so happened that you were starting to feel more comfortable when Wyatt unfortunately went down. And then how do what goes through your mind in a situation like that when you feel like now you're going to be called upon to be a bigger piece of what the defense wants to do week in and week out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kellen was having a heck of a season. He was doing great
Yeah.
before he went down, and then kind of when he went down to Michigan State, like I was hoping it wasn't nothing crazy bad. I was like, okay, he might be done for the rest of the game, but we'll get him back next week. But like taking me down, I knew, okay, I'm going in because really it's just me and McCall out there.
Yeah.
And kind of when we learned what his injury was, I was like, okay, like now I gotta really, like I gotta lock in now, like fully, like
Yeah.
if I really gotta get to, I can't worry, like okay, like I know I'll have a series off or whatever, be able to catch my breath. It's like okay, I gotta go. Like I'm not getting no series off really.
Yeah.
I'm out there the whole time. Doesn't matter if I'm tired, third down doesn't matter. I gotta be able to have something to be able to go and attack. So, but also I kind of feel like just I was a 2 year starter at Kent and kind of I didn't really I got a lot of reps there, so I kind of feel like just the mentality, just kind of knowing that okay, kind of just go back to Kent. Like you've been in situations before where I've gotten a lot of reps, and I didn't really leave the field much, so kind of just leaning in on that. Even though the opponents are a lot bigger, tougher, stronger than what I'm used to at the back, I guess it doesn't
Yeah.
kind of just knowing like okay, like you've been where you've been on the field for multiple drives and multiple plays in a row. You just kind of yeah.
Well, you also ran the 4x4 relay, right?
It was
In
four by
high school?
one. It
It
was
was
four
four
by
by
one.
one. Okay. All right. I was going to say, like, if you were running the 400, you've got the endurance for this thing,
Yeah.
for an every rep type of mentality anyway. But that's amazing, man. I love hearing that, and that focus that you've had, man, since, again, since conference play has rolled around has been awesome to watch. And is this what you envisioned, when when Coach Haynes and Coach Sig, extended the offer to come and join IU, and you made that commitment then, and you get here, and was this what you had kind of hoped things would really look like, playing in this defense?
Yeah, I mean, I knew like they had a lot of key returning pieces, with Fisher, Pons, and McCall. That's all American players even last year and this year. And they got Fernando out the portal. They still got
Yeah.
great receivers in Cooper and Elijah. So I knew like this team really had a chance to kind of repeat what they did last year. And I knew they believed in me to be able to come in and help out, and I also kind of believed in myself to be able to come and help them in any way, shape, or form, whether that be
Yeah.
playing a little bit fullback on offense too, or just
Well, that's been
yeah,
one of my favorite things to watch, down on the goal line, pancakes in the end zone. Let's go, right?
yeah,
Yeah, well, good for you, man. Wherever needed, right? Love that
yeah.
mentality that you have. Lastly, here, what has Coach Haynes kind of been emphasizing for you guys this week, going up against an Ohio State team that obviously has a ton of talent, as this Indiana team does, but playing for a Big Ten championship. And so defensively, as you game plan for this offense, what would have been kind of some of the messaging, some of the emphasis that Coach Haynes and Coach Sig have been talking about?
Really just studying the opponent. They're number one for a reason. They're reigning national champions for a reason. They do a lot of things well. They got a Heisman level quarterback. They got two great receivers. Got a great O line. Tane doesn't really get touched much back there. They got good running backs even though they're young. So it's like a machine out there. But you still just study your opponent, find what you can. And I know Haynes will put us in great spots to be able to make plays against them. So just really getting and just knowing your checks and knowing your opponent. Really, it's been the message this week.
Yeah. And keep doing what you're doing, man. I mean, that'd be my message. It's working.
Yeah.
It's working. I know Coach Haynes will have a great plan in place for you guys, and again, putting you in position to succeed. And that's where you take over with the work that you put in and the talent that you have, man, to execute at a high level. And nobody's doing it better than you are right now in the conference. So excited to see you in Indy, Steven. Thanks so much for joining us here on Under the Hood.
Thank you.
All right, that's another episode of Under the Hood with IU Football. Rhett Lewis here with Stephen Daly. Appreciate you guys for checking us out. And we're sure to be back with you following the Big Ten championship game as we get ready for the college football playoff.